In this video, I'll show you how to make an Angry Bird Thomas the Tank. This is a very simple and reversible toy mashup to do, but some processes will need adult supervision and guidance.
Well, it wasn't that long ago when I smashed up some surprise eggs, and this sort of Angry Bird was in amongst the surprise eggs getting smashed up, and when I hit them with a hammer, they basically split open. Normally you can open these eggs by accessing the underneath, and there's a surprise inside. And it's funny, I left all the rubbish on this workbench here, and my son came down and he was playing with his Tomas, and that was a Tomas that I looked at in the recent collection video. And what he was doing, Tomas was saying hello there, what he was doing was he was putting the Angry Bird face onto the Tomas, and it's actually a brilliant idea. It's actually not a bad look. I think I can make this really nice, and the fact that Tomas there, he's eager to go. The fact that Tomas there is one of these ones you give it a bit of a shake and it takes off at high velocity. This could be the ultimate mashup toy. Angry Birds meets Thomas the Tank. Because I already smashed open this Redbird surprise egg, I can see what I'm up against to get a nice clean one for this job. And there's not much holding this together. It's interesting, the head feather here is a separate piece. And on the rear of the egg here, the tail feather is just a piece which has been glued in. It's actually not part of that mould. But I'd like that. I'd like to put that on the back of Tomas and put the face on the front of Tomas. That's the plan. Let's take a quick look at one of the Angry Birds which I haven't opened up yet. And what's really important to show here is it is a licensed product, this, so there'll be money trickling back to the Angry Birds people. And that's nice to know. It's actually quite a nice rendition of Redbird's head, and inside these, well, it tells me here, it's one head, one figurine, sticker and candies. Park Avenue is a company which distributes these in Australia. Please tell me if you see these overseas, because this is a great size to fit on to that Tomas there. And if I go and get one which I've already taken the candy out of, they had a bottom plug here which is quite easy to remove, and I think I can quickly or quite easily unseam this critter without smashing it. The trick here is to get it open without smashing it. It might just take some very, very careful handling here to do this. Yes, it's one of these jobs where you just got to have a good feel of it, and one by one I can pop the seam of this bird. It hasn't been, well, the gluing on it isn't that good, which is working to my advantage, I hope. A bit more's gone. I haven't broken anything yet. It's getting there. It's just got to be very, very gentle pulling this apart. That's the key here. Oh, that's it. Good. Okay, I've got it, and I've got some pretty clean edges there. There's the head feather there, and that just pops out. There's the tail section, and there's the head section. And for some reason we've got a sticker or something stuck inside here. It's part of the surprise. It's a pig! Oh no! Okay, to the next process. Well, I had to turn Tomas off. He's making a lot of noise, but what is nice about this Tomas is it's got eye which has been painted on slightly incorrectly, and as a collector I love this. This came via the charity shop that collects a lot of Tomas for me. I think from memory it's a 2009 toy. I don't know, I've forgotten its name, but it just takes off at high velocity when you give it a bit of a shake, and has a few things to say. When I come to fitting the face, I got two options here. I could either have it riding basically on the running board there, riding high, and that means up at the top here I would most probably come and scallop out a little bit at the top here so it fits around the funnel, but I think I'd prefer to see a bit more funnel, have it down lower, and basically cut out just a section, a bottom section here, so it contours into that front running board there. A little bit tricky to do, but I think it'd be a nicer look if we get the top of his head, the top of Redbird's head, in line with the top of Thomas's face. That's the plan. One thing saying it, it's another thing doing it. Just going to take some very careful filing to pull that off. I'm thinking what I'm going to take off is going to be something like this. Very hard to work down through camera. It's going to be a shape like that from the bottom, and I'll start off small and see if I need to take off any more. Take the same sort of shape off both sides at the bottom. Well, I'm doing a first little fit up here. I've taken away the bottom of Redbird's, what do you call it, face down here, his lower cheeks. I don't know what they call it on both sides. I'm going to probably have to take off a little bit more, and I can feel a bit of interference up here. I'm going to take off these areas here to make the face fit in better. I think I'll just do it'll just be a blue tack job. I don't want it to be permanent. It's just a fun thing, this. Nothing too permanent about this, but I need to take a little bit more plastic off the bottom of Redbird's face. You can use hand tools to remove the plastic. The plastic is very easy to remove on these toys. I use a linisher to remove the bulk of it. Linisher's like a mechanical filer, they say. It's got a big belt on it. It removes this sort of stuff real fast. So that's probably why I took a little bit too much off initially. I should have probably used a file all the way. But if you use the right sort of file and method, which I'm probably using the incorrect method here, you'll do a nice job. And also come in and file these areas here, which are interfering with Thomas's face. And just coming in for a face fit here. It's looking pretty good at the bottom. I probably need to take off a little bit where those black pieces are on the running board, just to notch into the bottom of Redbird's face. And what you find on the edge of the file, often there is another area where you can use the file, and I can get in there and make these little notches. I'd probably do this by hand than using the linisher. The linisher would be too brittle. Steady as she goes, Captain. Well, after a fair bit of careful filing and going backwards and forwards of the face onto Thomas and off, I think I've got something which works fairly well. I've got a little bit of blue tack at the top here holding this face on. It doesn't move sideways because it's keyed into the bottom black pieces there of Thomas. If I just take it off there, you can see the blue tack there, and you can see the shape that I've made on the bottom here. I've made straight edges here. I've just simplified it really. I just was getting these curves. I thought, no, let's just whack it to straight. But it's really nice. It's just, look, a little simple thing which is going to be fun. And my son is going to love this when he sees it finished, I hope. I'm thinking little head feather. Initially I thought on that dome there, but I thought maybe here. And what I'll do is I'll come in and I'll file away this bottom piece that keyed into the plastic shell of the surprise egg. And I'll probably just blue tack that on there. I might put a bit of hot melt glue. Hot melt glue is reversible if you're very careful with it. And that can be the little head feather. Well, there's a head feather before and after, and as you can see on the before one, you can see it's got the contour and curve of that Angry Bird surprise egg. What I did was I just put a file through it and I made a flat version, so that flat version will key into Thomas much better. And let's put the feather on. I've got a bit of blue tack under there. I might put hot melt glue later on, but blue tack will hold it. It's on. Well, let's talk tail feather activity here. There's the rear section. If I put it there, it sort of lines up with the head. And it would be quite a bit of work here. I'd have to cut out, because I want this piece here to be flush with the back of the cab. The cold storage area there, very small one, but there's a bit of a curve on the back of Thomas there and it goes down. It's a fair bit of work, but that would look the best, I think, because then you've got like a Redbird front, Redbird tail. You could also do, like, the minimalistic version would be this. Just the tail feather just actually pops off. The gluing in these isn't very good. You know, basically file that off and stick a little tail feather on. Sort of cute, but maybe I'll go for the bigger look. But this would be the alternative if you're just going for the I don't know, El Cheapo look. I'll probably go for the bigger look, and I'll take off that amount of material, and then I'll come and do a lot of hand filing to get it right, and the same on the other side. Okay, well, this is how it's looking. Once that linisher gets onto that plastic, it disappears real fast, and I'll come in and do a bit of hand filing just to get a little bit of that angle going there so we can bite into that. But it's actually not too bad, because considering this is just an El Ruffian, nice and quick sort of job. But I do want it to look very mashed up between Angry Birds and Thomas, and I'm sort of getting there. And it's that area just there where I want to come in a bit, just at the top of the cold area. I can't emphasize how important it is just to go little by little when you're at this stage. And it's sort of funny, it brings me back. I learned, well, back when I went to school, we learned metalwork. We learned all about files and drawer filing and different, you know, ways of filing metal. It's just with files and, you know, using hand tools, there's a great sense of satisfaction when you use them. Sadly, I think it's something that's really getting lost in the younger generation. Well, just come in and see how it looks. It's looking pretty good. I think I've done a much better job on this rear section than I did on the front. I'm starting to warm up now. Show the other side just to show I'm not cheating. There's the other side there. And that's a very important curve to get in on this model. There's probably other models you can do this to, but it's got a little bit of a curve on the back of the bunker there. Looking pretty good. Wow. This could be a real winner. It's probably time for the spin reveal. and I've put extra blue tack on those components and they are held on really firmly. What's nice is this is reversible because I want to go back to see my derpy-eyed Thomas. But I tell you what guys, I think this works. This is an absolute classic look when you bring two really popular toys together and mash them together. Look what you get. You get something which is going to be fantastic. And I tell you what, when my boy lands his eyes on this thing, he is going to get mighty excited. I'm only going to have one stab at this. I've got him covered up. And let's see his reaction when he sees this for the first time. Okay, you can have a look now. What do you think?
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, do you like it?
Yeah.
You want to play with it?
When it works.
I think he's getting a bit overexcited. We'll make another video and we'll show it working, being an angry Thomas. What do you think?
Thanks, Dad. Dad, I can't have Piggy and the Angry Bird.
Isn't having an angry Thomas enough?
No.
Riding high, and I'd have to scallop out part of the top here. Thomas, you're too noisy, I'm sorry. I have to turn you off. But I tell you what, I feel this works. This is such a classic look, and I've brought two absolute classic franchises together here. Angry Birds and Thomas the Tank. And we've got a beeper going off in my pocket.
There's no time for delay.
Oh. Dad, I can't have Piggy and the Angry Bird.
Isn't that enough?